Hi, everybody. This is Hondo Carpenter. It is great to be with you. Great Thursday to you. I hope that you're doing very well. I got a lot I want to talk about today. As we get ready to, we're approaching, we're certainly not there. I'm not implying, but as we get ready for that 4th of July holiday, I realize we're still, a week away, but it's a very important time because once July 5th hits, guys now get out of vacation and they get into work mode. They get into prep mode. They begin to eat different. They begin to, they're not eating and playing and being merry until the day camp starts. They begin now to get their bodies ready. And for all of you that maybe don't understand, maybe your experience being close to football ended in high school. If you know, at most high schools, not all, but most, the first 2 weeks are conditioning. And the NFL and even college to some sort, although not like the NFL, they tell these guys, you're professionals. When you show up for training camp, you better already be in shape. You better already be in shape. And you better absolutely 100% be in shape. And we're not here to get you in shape. That's not what training camp's for. You're a pro, you show up, and we begin to practice. So there are 5 big things that I'm going to watch for early in training camp. And they're going to be very vitally important to me. And I want to share those with you today. And as we're inching closer to training camp, I think it's a lot that we can discuss. The first one is preseason. I am going to watch how they develop the plan for the preseason games. And as you know, there are 3 of them. It used to be if you have it, you don't want any of your locked on starters um, uh, playing in the preseason, or if you make play them very minimal. It's going to be interesting to see because when you have 2 quarterbacks battling for the job, you got to give them both a fair shot, because if you don't, everybody knows there wasn't a fair shot. The team knows, the players know. At this point, it doesn't mean it won't change. I'm not reporting it as officially done, but at this point, I would lean towards they're probably not going to be doing joint practices. Again, that is subject to change, although as of right now, that is the plan moving forward. It could change. So because of that, then those preseason games become very important. Now, Rich Scangarello, the quarterback coach, you can go back and watch the video. We put it up of him, or the audio if you're listening to this is just an audio only on the Fans First Sports Network. You can go back and listen. He intimated that he thought this quarterback situation was going to be settled sooner rather than later. So if that happens and one guy clearly establishes himself early, then they don't necessarily have to give them the same amount of reps in preseason. It's going to be fascinating to watch that. On defense, I don't think there's any reason to play Robert Spillane, Marcus Epps, Christian Wilkins, Max Crosby. If anything, maybe one series the first game, or one series the second, or maybe one in both. And dear God, don't anywhere near the third one. I would be thrilled just if I was the coach to say, you guys aren't even touching the field. Sure, I'm going to have Nate Hobbs out there, and I'm going to have guys that are competing. I don't think Nate's competing for a starting job, but he's still a guy fighting for an extension. So is Malcolm Kuntz. If I'm Malcolm, I want to get out there quick and say, yeah, the last half of last year was not a farce. I don't think it was. That's not a slam on his character, but I'd want to be out there. I would think of Jack Jones. I think they all want to be out there, but I think sometimes you have to protect guys from yourself. So the first thing is I want to see is we're going to get an idea quick and early. How do they plan on running the preseason? Next, I want to talk about retention. During OTAs and minicamp, they instituted probably 15% new to the defensive playbook and probably 85 to 90%, maybe 95% new to the offense. There's a lot of terminology that's different. I want to look at retention. They were able to install everything that they had new so far in OTAs and mandatory minicamp. Now, what happens with retention? How much did the guys get and retain? What did they really hold from it? That's going to be very important. If they retained a very high percentage and then stayed in their film and their playbooks, they're going to be exponentially up there. For those of you doing the drinking game, I said exponentially up there's twice. Farther along, what's their retention like? Now, the next one is going to be, I'm going to be watching the offensive line very closely. Here is why. The footwork is very different in a wide zone. Very different. And you got 5, and when you're in 12 personnel, 7 big humanoids that have to work together like synchronized swimmers. I've always said one time, I'll never forget the first time I went to the ballet. And I'm sitting there and got done, and I was asked, hey, what'd you think? I said, well, it's like watching a group of offensive linemen who do it well. They're just, the ballerinas aren't 350 pounds. The offensive line is a thing of work. It's a thing of beauty. When you get, 7 behemoth testosterone fueled, muscle induced pieces of granite trying to forcibly move other grown men, doing things that would send them to prison anywhere else other than on the gridiron, that's a thing of beauty. It's of art. If you have been to the Louvre and you understand great art, is there anything prettier other than a newborn baby or your wife on your wedding day? Is there anything prettier than a well-tuned offensive line that's working in perfect unison? I think not. And so OTAs and minicamp, you're learning the footwork, but it's different when somebody's got the pads on. It's different than when Christian Wilkins is trying to blow the gap. It's different than when Max Crosby's doing a swim and a spin. It's different when Malcolm Coons is coming around the corner and Tyree Wilson says, what? Here I come. Na, 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 na. I'm the Las Vegas defensive end. Na, 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 or yada, yada, yada. I don't know the song. It's a new rap song I just heard the other day. La, 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 la. But that's what I'm looking for, because now they got to get the pads on, and then they got to practice everything they learn new in the holistic nature with pads on. The offense is going to be way ahead early, way ahead. I'm going to tell you, you're going to hear a lot of reports early. Yeah, offensive line is learning. They're learning. And it's not that they don't know the scheme, but it's different. I would say this. If you've ever been a hunter, shooting clay pigeons is easier than being out in the woods and a rough grouse goes up. A rough grouse, you can be standing on it practically, and then it takes off. And it's gone. And man, it is so loud. It's just different. It's different. I will never forget one time I was standing on the field at the Metrodome in Minnesota, and they were pitching batting practice. First time I've ever been on the field for batting practice. And I'm there, and Kent Herbeck, the great announcer of the Minnesota Twins, used to always announce them. Now coming to bat for the Minnesota Twins, Kent Herbeck. And so Kent was a great, I remember him on those teams of Kirby Puckett. And so I'm on the field and I'm watching them. First time I've ever watched them really hit batting practice. And I thought, oh, okay, that's not too hard. And they were just smacking them everywhere. And I said to Kent Herbeck, I said, man, you were launching them. You're going to have a great night. He said, well, maybe if I can get them to pitch at that same speed, and then the game gets going and they ain't pitching the same speed. It's different when it's live. That's what I love about football, man. Just ground and pound and beat people up. That's why OTAs are fine and mini camps are fine, and you do learn a lot. It's installation, not evaluation. Once the pad comes on, when football is really played, I'll never forget this as long as I live. Long as I live. I'm standing on the field and at a training camp. And there was a guy that everybody talked about who looked really good in the pre-camp practices. And he did not look good after a few days of training camp. The coach came off the field and I said, how you doing, coach? He said, are we on the record or off the record? He said, off the record. I'm not going to tell you who it was. He looked at me and says, how do you think I look? The guy that all you guys has been talking about how good he looks. I see, goes pre-training camp. He looked like Tarzan. Now he's playing like Jane. I'll never forget that as long as I live. I still laugh about that today because it's just the game of football. So what you play it, you got to line up and play. So I know the offensive lineman be a little bit more contact early in camp, especially when those pads come on. It's going to be some adjustment. I've told you before, I thought it'd take 2-3 games. I think by game 4, they're going to be ready. But with less preseason games and less practices, it's just taking a little bit longer when you're installing. The Raiders defense really isn't. So I think they're going to come out strong. So I think the first couple of games, you'll see them keep them in the game. But this is why I predicted the Raiders to win game 1 against the Bulls. I don't think it's going to be super pretty, but I think the Raiders will win it. I think the next week they go to Baltimore where their defense is ahead, their offense, they're not installing anything. I think that the Raiders lose there. Not the end of the world. But I think it's just going to be that installation. So I'm going to be watching that offensive line real close. Now, I always key in on the big uglies. I like the offensive and defensive line. That's where Zeke watches a lot of the running backs and all the other stuff. That's fine. I want to watch the box. Give me the box. I want to see what's going on there. Looking forward to the offensive line. Next, I want to really pay close attention to the defensive backs. A lot of attention there. I want to see who emerges. I'm going to watch Ja'Cory Bennett really close. Really, really close. You guys know this. I really like JB. And I like Brandon Faison. If I had to predict today, I think Brandon Faison's going to be your starter. But I really like me some JB. I know he had a rough rookie year. He's still got a whole nother year till he enters his money year. That kid's got all the tools that God can give a guy. He's got speed. He's got strength. He's got plenty of size. He's done it in the past, so we know that he can do it. He's done it in college. I'm watching JB close. I'm going to watch Jack Jones just because he's fun to watch. I don't think the last half of last year was a fluke, but he's got to show us. I've had several people email me. Boy, I really wish the Raiders would extend Jack Jones right now. I don't think it's necessary. I don't think it's necessary at all to extend him. In fact, ride it out a little bit. Do I think he gets an extension? Of course I do. Just continue to play you the way you played in 2023. and you can sing that old gospel hymn, "It is well with my soul," you're going to be taken care of. But I'm watching JB, watching a lot of those guys. It's going to be fascinating to watch. Then I'm going to pay a lot of attention to coaching, a ton of it, because I really like this staff. They are a staff of teachers, but they're a staff of instant correction. Now, I credit AP with this. Most of the staff has been players. Now, Josh McDaniels was really good about teaching. He didn't believe in hammering guys out on the field. Just get through practice quick and then get in the classroom. And so what happened was, and you heard some of the guys talk about it, you got 3.5 hour, 4 hour meetings in a classroom after a practice. After you just physically gave everything you had, then you go and you get a nice air conditioned office. You got a shower. Your belly's full. No, they believe correct it right on the field. That's why Mark went out and spent a ton of money to get him the big screens. Correct it right on the field. Get it handled right on the field. And then you can go in and have an hour meeting, but it isn't 3 hours where guys are like, oh my goodness, I'm falling asleep. I'm watching those coaches. I love the instant coaching. I love watching how AP has, I'm telling you what, guys, most coaches, if they come up through the defensive ranks, spend a ton of time with defense. Nick Saban did. If you've never been to a Nick practice, you would know, but he spent a ton of time with his defense. If there's one thing I had to ever argue with Nick, I think it would be that. As he got older, he got better. But again, he's a great coach, but very few are Nick Saban. I mean, he's the best ever in college. And I want to watch AP continue to survey and it sometimes even spend more time with the offense. I like that. He's got Marvin. He trusts Marvin. Patrick leads it. Marvin's not lording over Patrick. This is Patrick's defense. But I like it. I like it a lot. I like the way it's going. I'm watching them coaches. Those coaches to me are going to be a very big deal. Now, I said 5, but I'm going to give you a couple extra points. I'm going to watch the rooks. Last year, JB won a lot of respect from me and other people because he kept jumping in wanting reps against Devontae, and Devontae made everybody look silly. I remember a play last year, the fans were in there, and it was really fascinating because Devontae embarrassed Marcus Peters pretty well. And one of the people in the stands kind of yelled something out at Marcus. It wasn't disrespectful, but it's all right, Marcus. Everybody looks bad against Devontae or something. I don't remember his exact words. And I don't remember who I was standing there with, but I was standing, may have even been Zeke, but it was somebody. And Marcus had a few words to say to the guy. But I want to watch those young guys. I want to watch it, DeCamerion Richardson, MJ Devonshire. I want to see if JB goes back and says, hey, I want some more of Jacoby or Devontae. I want to watch that. I think the weakest link on the Raiders is corner, but I think they've got a lot of potential really good ones. I think people are overlooking Face. I think Jack's a superstar in the making, and if Nate can stay healthy, I think he's a superstar in the making. So, again, just kind of filling you in on where I'm at. What are my expectations? What am I seeing, thinking, noticing? What's sticking out to me? And I'm going to be watching, those. And I understand. I said I'm looking at rooks. I know that JB isn't a rook. I know Face isn't, but I'm going to watch MJ. I'm going to watch DeCamerion. I think MJ's a really good player with a big future in this league. When I did my 53-man prediction on the roster, I had one spot open. And I said, because there's a lot of really good young guys going to push for this. I said, I personally don't think the guy who's going to have this spot is on the roster yet. I still believe that, by the way. But I think an MJ Devonshire can go out and say, yeah, heck yeah, I want that job. So I'm going to watch that. That's the last thing I'm watching for. Who's going to be 53? Who's going to be that guy that says, you can't afford to cut me? Ain't happening. Not going anywhere. Okay. A Matthew Butler. He's a veteran that I think's in danger of losing his job. This is his third year, money year. Hasn't done anything. Has he done some stuff? Yeah. But he's got to differentiate himself now. He's in his money year. Fish or cut bait. And there's a good chance if he has a bad camp, he doesn't get to the season. So those are the things that my eyes are on. Those are the things. Now, I have Matthew projected on the roster because I think he's going to show some stuff. But like Devontae said, okay, potential you quit thinking about when you're 10. It's just about doing now. Now, before camp, I'm going to give you my all put up or shut up team. These are the guys that have something to prove. These are the guys that got to come into camp from day one, and they got to be sharp, good, and play well. I'll give you all those as we get closer to camp. But it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. A lot of fun to watch. We're looking at these key things, watching them close. That first day of camp, you can tell, is everybody in shape? Everybody looking good? Somebody come in that you can tell isn't prepared. Because I'm going to tell you what, you come into this camp unprepared, you out. Josh Jacobs held out last year, did not come in great shape. A little bit different situation. But if Josh would have been a guy that was on the all put up or shut up team, he'd have been gone at the start of camp. Well, no, he really wouldn't have because he had he was franchised. But you understand what I'm saying. He would have had to show something. And I think everybody's coming in great shape. I do, and I would know, I don't know of anyone they're concerned about as far as being in shape. Camp's coming, man. It's getting close, my brothers and my sisters. Once the 4th is over, man, we're practically in it. Cannot wait. Cannot wait to get to Costa Mesa. It's going to be a lot of fun. I appreciate all of you. You're wonderful human beings, and you're great folks. You need to know that I appreciate you. I don't take you for granted. You don't have to tune into my podcast every day. You don't have to read all the articles we write. You choose to. And for that, I am eternally grateful. Right now, we're writing somewhere around 12 articles a day when you go to si.com/NFL/Raiders. That's a large amount. And you guys are reading it, man. You're reading it. You're getting into it. And I appreciate that. You're wonderful people. I don't take you for granted. You don't have to watch me and read me. You choose to. So from me to you and from my family to you, thank you. Thank you for the privilege of being your beat writer. We'll see y'all tomorrow. God bless you.